To move on to other things I really enjoy, Specter Knight. Now, I don't remember, was I a Kickstarter backer of Shovel Knight? I think I was. So I got Shovel Knight. I played the Plague Knight. I loved Shovel Knight, the original Shovel Knight. I played the first 2 levels. I played about an hour, according to my gameplay clock here in Shovel Knight, of the Plague Knight DLC, and I didn't understand how you played it. I didn't like it. It felt very weird, like you had a double jump, and then you could throw, like you had a ranged weapon that was a diagonal throwing potion thing, and if you did it in the air, you could kind of bounce around, and I just couldn't get it. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it. Fine, whatever. It was a disappointment, and I moved on. Right? Fine. I'll go play something else. You know, it was a bummer. It really sucked because I really enjoyed Shovel Knight. So now we get to Specter Knight, which, by all intents and purposes, I was not the only one who didn't like the Plague Knight. So Specter of Torment, I think, is a lot better. The levels are just completely rearranged, at least from my memory, which is now like 3 years old of the original game. And it has that same formula. It doesn't have the double jump. It has you running up walls. This tutorial especially does a great job of teaching you these things and kind of letting you learn the mechanics. You can also do this dash move that kind of, not auto targets is the wrong word, but if you slash in midair while there's a X or a little slash through an enemy, you can either dash diagonally down towards them or up diagonally towards them. And this is also used in traversal and platforming. And when this game is firing on all cylinders with those aspects, and including the wall jumping and the dashing and all that shit, it is fantastic. It really is so much fun to get through its world and like jump off a wall and then dash over here, and then there's a thing falling, so you do a midair dash through it and you land on that wall and you jump over there, and now the thing's moved over so you can dash again. And it's like such incredible sequences that are so fun and so well laid out. And I think that kind of highlights my problems with it, is that it's not all like that. There are sections of the game where I'm like, this level kind of sucks. I don't like doing this. I've never been, Jesus, upstairs people. I've never liked games where you get hit, like Mega Man, where you get hit and you fly backwards, like to a ridiculous degree, and you have no control over where you're flying backwards. I've never liked that. I always hate it. And it's here. And it's one of those things too where I think the idea of including a Dark Souls-esque feature in the form of those little money bags when you die is cool, but the execution, I mean, it was bad in Shovel Knight, and now it's just as bad. Like, somehow they didn't want to fix that, because these money bags will blow up where you die, and you can't get back to them. Like, you just straight up, like, oh, you might not be able to get back to them, which is stupid. What the fuck you even have it there if I can't get back to it? Then why even put it there? And there were so many times, I think also in this gameplay, my first hour, where I was like relearning the mechanics, where I'm sitting here going like, I can't get back to this thing. I'm gonna jump over this hill again. Nope, I died. Well, fuck. Now I gotta get those other money bags back. And it's like this whole stupid loop of like, well, why even bother? Why even bother when the money bags are in such a position where you can't even get to them? Like, oh, all 3 of them are laying on spikes. Great. Let me just risk all life and limb to get this money back. Like, I can't even get it back. So why is that even a thing? The money should just go, like, if you fall, there's this one upgrade suit you can get, that if you fall or you're hitting spikes, you can be revived on the last solid ground you were on. Just put the money on the solid ground where I was. It doesn't need to float and be all cute. It doesn't need to do that. And these moments of questionable level design or jumping or weirdness that like didn't flow really highlighted. Like, were really highlighted by the moments that were incredible, of which there are many. There are so many worlds and, I guess, adventures that I had in this game that were incredible, and they're really brought down by the certain moments of like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't want to do this. This is stupid. And maybe it's just me. And maybe if I went back to the original Shovel Knight, I'd have those same gripes of a game I loved. This is one of those games where I don't think I will go back. I don't think I will go back and play Shovel Knight or any of these ever again, because I kind of want them to just, although this was really good, I don't want to go back to the original Shovel Knight and not like it. Right? I don't want that. scenario. I don't want to revisit that game and be disappointed and have that tarnish my entire memory of like, was I wrong this entire time? I don't want that. That's crazy. And that's not good. Let's leave my memories positive where they were. Let's keep the nostalgia alive. That's one of the platforming kind of things. And I think the additions it has with the wall jumping and the in-air dashes are a ton of fun. It really is great. There are a few moments where like when you air dash into an enemy from above, like down onto it, you'll bounce off of it, right? You'll bounce off. And then if you kill it, you won't bounce off. So if you're pressing the button and the enemy's like really close to the edge, you'll just whoop right off the edge, which is incredibly annoying. I think this is one of the moments where I kept dying at a stupid point because I'm a moron. And I guess it's my fault, but it feels like, here, how do I get these money bags back? Like, is there really a logical way to get them back? I think now with my current skill with the game, after beating it, I think I could, but it's just like, why put them there? God. And also while playing it, this is a personal thing, but I can't help but feel like a Metroidvania would be better. A game where I got a double jump, or I learned the wall climb, I learned the air dash thing. I learned maybe a dodge move on the ground. Like, I learned all these different moves. I think that's where I want them to go with Shovel Knight or with their next game or whatever. Because this, to me, is just not necessarily my type of game ever or anymore. I don't know. And that's even saying, like, I really enjoyed it. Like, it's about 3 hours long. I really enjoyed it overall. It's a pretty great game. I mean, if you have Shovel Knight, you get it for free if you already had it. I think it's definitely a good value, especially after shitty Plague Knight, which I didn't even want to play anymore after an hour. Just give up. That's not good. That's not an endorsement. The bosses are really good, are really fun. They're really fun. They're not challenging or tough. I think that's one area the game could kind of maybe tune it up. I think the only boss I died a couple times on was the final boss, or one of the forms of the final boss, the first form, I think. I don't know. Oh, about 4 hours. I have written down here. About 4 hours, not 3 hours. Sorry. The game's great, but there was a game I played last year called Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight. And I kept thinking of that game. And it's a Metroidvania, and it's not a very long game. It's probably about 4 or 5 hours anyway. To go through all its secrets, and it's a Metroid thing, and you got these cool platforming moves, and you're learning new abilities, and all this stuff. And I kept thinking of that game when I was playing this. As I was playing this game's combat and its platforming, I kept thinking of Momodora and how great that game is. It's really so much fun to just play in that world. And Specter Knight, only at the end did I feel like, oh, I'm competent. Only in the last hour was I like, oh, I understand how to do these moves, and this is that dash thing. I can do that, and I can do this. Only then did I really learn that. And it felt like the entire time with Momodora, I was doing that. I was having this incredible jumping ninja girl action thing. But here I never really got that. And the combat is so limited. It's really, I mean, in a game like Momodora or even Salt and Sanctuary, like, that is where stuff like this really shines. And having this weird combat system that hinges so much on just like dashing air attacks over and over for no reason, which I think I might get to when I'm talking about this. It just doesn't. It's weird to say it doesn't feel like up to date or modern when this whole game as aesthetic is old school. But it doesn't. Like, there are retro-ish looking games like this that do it better, that I think have maybe not better platforming, because there's some really great stuff here, but like better combat for sure, better tighter controls that feel better. Yes, there are. And I mean, I played 2 of those games last year, and they were 2 of my favorite games of last year, Salt and Sanctuary and Momodora. Like, games are incredible. Even something like Axiom Verge was more of a fun thing to play in terms of just controlling. Like, this feels very old and not necessarily a good way. Like Ori and the Blind Forest is another one that kind of ruins games like this. Like, it's so much more polished and fluid and fun to move and do everything that you can do in the world. It's so much more fun to play and be in that world than it is in Plague Knight, Specter of Torment, whatever the fuck it is. As good as this is, like, it is really good, but it's just been done better. And that's an unfortunate thing. It's just been done better. You know, I mean, it's just like, it's fine. It's fine. Here I am dying again, trying to get my steel. I'm behind the goddamn thing I have on the side of the screen, dying again at the same spot because I'm trying to get my stupid things. Like, there's just minor annoyances, and I think as soon as they can get away from Shovel Knight 1 and that whole canon, it's a story, and this is actually kind of interesting, but as soon as they can get away from that, and either if it's a Shovel Knight 2 or if it's something completely different, as soon as they can get away from the Shovel Knight 1 trappings and setting and like having to have everything be that, as soon as they can get away from it, I think they'll make a better game. Like, I could feel that better game in here with the wall running and jumping and all that shit. Like, this belongs in a better game than this. It belongs in a game that isn't so tight platforming where you instantly die, and it's just like not fun to how it's playing. Like, so many times during this game, especially at the beginning, where I'm like, I wish I had another jump. Like, a lot of these jumps are so weird, and running on the wall is so weird, and your sprite is so big. Like, maybe this is just me, and like, this is how, I mean, I know this is how games used to be, but God, am I bad at Mega Man, and I was fine at Shovel Knight, and this is just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. I've played better. I've had better retro-inspired 2D action platform experiences. I've had better ones. And yeah, it just circles back to the idea of, I don't want to play, like, I went and I played 5 minutes of Shovel Knight after I beat this. The original Shovel Knight. I just picked a level at random and I played it. And it was fine. And I was like, oh, great. I didn't want it to be fine because I really loved it. I think it might just be fine. I think I might, this is not for me. As good as Specter Knight is, that's the thing. I might be losing my mind because I do think it's great. I do remember Shovel Knight as being great. Specter of Torment is pretty great. But at the end of the day, or maybe even further than that, at the end of the year, right? I remembered Momodora. I remember a game like Salt and Sanctuary. This is just going to be a footnote in my year. Even though it's been jam-packed with awesome games at the beginning of the year, like, I'm not even going to remember this. Spectre, oh, like, oh yeah, Specter Knight, yeah. Like, there's no way. There's no way it's up there with everything else, even if half the great games that I played this year had come out, even if only half of them had. It's still, like, this is not something at the end of the day where you go and you write home and like, this is amazing, you gotta play this game. Like, oh, this is good. If you played Shovel Knight and you liked it, you'll like this. It's not a resounding endorsement. Here's the boss. You can't see it because I'm blocking a half of it. But there's a lot of dashing, like inner dashing. You can kind of see it there a little bit. And then yeah. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's how it works. I'm trying to figure out how the audio. How's the audio? I don't know. I think that's how Shovel Knight will be shoveled for the rest of shovels. No?